If you're an instructor who needs to transition your microelectronics course online on short notice, this webinar is for you. In particular, if you use Microelectronic Circuits as your course textbook, I'll show you some digital resources that can help save you time at this critical moment. I'm a co-author of the 8th edition of the book and a professor of electrical computer engineering at the University of Toronto. There are several elements of your microelectronics course that you'll have to translate online, probably including lectures, tutorials, labs, and assessments such as quizzes, tests, and exams. In all aspects of the course, trying to translate the traditional in-person classroom experience online is not the best approach. The student's experience alone in front of their laptop will be completely different from an in-class experience in spite of our best efforts. Remember that it's better to embrace the opportunities of the new medium rather than fighting its shortcomings. With that in mind, I'll go over the digital resources available to help you transition to online delivery. These include video examples, digital versions of the texts, figures, and tables, SPICE ancillary material for virtual or simulated labs, and additional test problems and solutions for instructors. Many of you are probably using the 7th edition of the book. Note that in the 8th edition, the book's online ancillaries have been greatly enhanced. Fortunately, chapter numbers 1 through 13 in the 7th edition correspond to the same chapter numbers in the 8th edition. Because the 8th edition is streamlined and integrated better with the online material, many section, figure, and problem numbers have changed, but instructors and even students should have very little trouble navigating the 8th edition digital ancillaries for the material they need. Moreover, 2 of the major ebook providers have launched a free ebook loan program to assist in these challenging times, so students can access the enhanced 8th edition ebook right away by following the instructions at these links. At the end of the webinar, I'll provide details on where to access all the book's online resources. Video examples are a new feature of the 8th edition that may be particularly useful for online tutorials or lectures. They're embedded in the 8th edition ebook, just like the other worked examples in the text that you're familiar with. The difference is that the solutions are presented as high-quality videos of one of the authors solving the problem on a lightboard. That's me solving a video example from Chapter 4. Since they're embedded in the ebook, and free loans of the ebook are now available to all students through the end of the semester, these are now available to students. Digital versions of the figures and tables from the book are also available to help you prepare slides for online lectures or tutorials. Here's an example of what you get for Chapter 1. Each figure appears on its own slide. These can be copy and pasted into your slides. I created these slides to cover section 1.4 of the book for my own class using the digital figures. I then recorded myself presenting the slides using screen capture software and posted the video to my course learning management system for the students. Labs are an important part of most microelectronics courses. The lab experience will arguably be the most difficult to reproduce online. Some institutions may be able to set up remotely controlled lab equipment, but many institutions will find this difficult on such short notice, so we have to consider alternatives. One possibility is to ask students to preview a video that discusses lab elements relevant to your course. One of my favorite YouTube channels for this purpose is The Signal Path, which is developed by a great friend of mine who is a perennial winner of our Best TA Award at the University of Toronto during his PhD in my lab. Here's an old example where he goes over the fundamentals of the common emitter amplifier. He then breadboards one and measures it on camera. SPICE simulations may also have to serve as a substitute for in-person labs in some cases. Again, keep in mind this presents opportunities as well as shortcomings. During in-person labs, students often must work in groups and may not participate fully in all aspects of the experiment. By contrast, each student can perform SPICE simulations individually and at their own pace. Obviously, the hands-on experience of manipulating components and equipment is lost, but on the bright side, SPICE simulations allow for faster plotting and more sophisticated analysis and interpretation of the results. In addition to the multisim SPICE netlists that were created for the 7th edition, New SPICE netlists are available for the 8th edition that are compatible with two simulators, LT-SPICE and P-SPICE. Both of these platforms are freely available with lots of open information on using them. The textbook's 8th edition online resources page has all the netlists and guides to help students and instructors. Here's a getting started guide for one of the simulators. And here's one of the problem guides. I'll focus on LT-SPICE for this webinar. Here's the official page for LT-SPICE. You can see versions available for download on Windows or Mac, and there's a getting started guide here too. If you have TAs, I'm sure they can find additional helpful resources for the students if needed. A good starting point for virtual labs is Appendix B available online. Appendix B begins with an introduction to SPICE simulation, followed by a series of simulation examples described in great detail. Instructors and students can download netlists from the textbook's Online Resources Center. I've downloaded the Appendix B netlists. Additional SPICE netlists and problem guides accompanying end-of-chapter problems are organized by chapter. Remember that chapter numbers 1 to 13 are the same in both the 7th and 8th editions of the book. Unzip the package, and you'll see that only the netlist files are included, not the schematics. This makes the netlist package a compact and simple collection of human-readable text files. Working with these, students will learn to interpret and edit netlists, which in my experience is an important skill for electronics designers. The .car files can be opened in LT-SPICE and simulated immediately. This particular example is a common source amplifier, described in Appendix B. Students can read about it here, and then conduct the simulation for themselves. The appendix suggests students change the values of some capacitors in the netlist and see how the results are affected. You can, of course, ask the students to make further modifications as part of your virtual lab experiments, and have them prepare and submit reports on your learning management system. Assessment is another challenge for us online. I encourage you to consider alternative methods for evaluation when transitioning online. Discussion boards are a particularly interesting opportunity for evaluating students online. Another interesting method for online evaluation is to ask each student to create their own problem, including a worked solution. If your learning management system allows it, you can even ask them to enter their problems into the course website for other students to solve. Microelectronic Circuits has an accompanying volume with 65 ready-made test questions, including detailed solutions and a suggested grading scheme. These are available in digital format, so you can access them right away from home. We're also working on digital versions of these questions that will readily integrate into some of the most popular LMS systems. Stay tuned for more details on that. All of the digital resources for both the 7th and 8th editions of Microelectronic Circuits are available to instructors through Oxford's Ancillary Resource Center, or ARC. I'll provide all the links at the end of the webinar. It's password protected to prevent students from accessing information, such as solution manuals, freely. You may see a notice at the beginning of the page that says some of this content may require instructor validation. To request access, follow the link to the instructor registration page. For example, if I follow the link on the 8th edition resources page, it takes me to the page to request the 8th edition resources. Once you have an account, sign in to access all your resources. Students also have access to some material without a password. The 7th edition student resources are on a simple website. For the 8th edition, the student resources are also on ARC at a different URL, but no password is required. Some of the 8th edition resources, such as the enhanced ebook and video examples, are accessible only with an access code that accompanies hard copies of the book or can be purchased separately. But remember that a free loan is available to everyone right now through VitalSource and RedShelf, so these resources can be accessed freely that way. Here are all the links to the 7th and 8th edition ancillary material for students and instructors. I really hope you found this very helpful. Take care and good luck.